Well, hello there everyone, welcome back to Cars with Willow and welcome back to another video. Today it is very windy, so I apologise in advance if you can't hear me. But today I'm going to be fitting a new steering wheel to the MGTF, which I have in this box, but I'm holding it down so it doesn't blow away. So in this video I'll show you how to remove your current steering wheel safely and then how to fit the new one. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing that needs to be done is we need to disconnect the battery, just because we're going to be messing around with the airbag and things like that, and we don't want any unfortunate accidents with the airbag going off. So we're going to unplug it as a precaution. We'll leave it for half an hour. Half an hour should leave it enough time to discharge, so any current that's built up in the circuit can discharge, and then you should be able to safely disconnect the airbag. So let's do that now. So while we leave the battery to discharge, I figured that I would show you the wheel. It's been done by Control Customs. They are a UK based company. They basically do fully custom steering wheels, so you can send them a wheel and they will just completely retrim it for you. They can do leather, they can do Alcantara, they can do carbon fibre. The possibilities really are endless. The only limiting factor is your imagination. And so let me show you the wheel. Okay, so next, removing your current steering wheel. In theory, it should be quite straightforward. First of all, before you remove your current wheel, you're going to want to make sure that it's dead straight, so that when you put the new one on, you're not changing the tracking at all. And if you look at the front wheels, they should be straight too. That means that your tracking's good. And then, first of all, there are two Torx screws, one on each side of the back, that you're going to need to remove. And basically that will release the airbag unit from the middle. So I shall do that now, and this is where we find out if the battery is discharged or not. It shouldn't be hard to undo. So as you can see, that's coming out pretty easy. Okay, the two Torx screws are now out from the back, so we should be able to lift out this central part of the wheel. And don't yank it out, because you'll have your wiring, which you need to be careful about. So, this is the airbag wire, which we can disconnect. Okay, so now that the airbag's off, we can leave that wire for now, but the potentially fiddly bit now is disconnecting the wiring from the horns. So we're going to use, or I'm going to try and use a couple of flathead screwdrivers to prise out these buttons, and then we should be able to just pull the wiring out from there and there. And then what we can do is remove this centre nut, lift the wheel off, and hopefully just put the new one on in the same place. So there are actually a couple of notches that once you get the screwdriver in, should be straightforward to pull out. So yeah, there comes the button now. Okay, so that's one. Now obviously when you're using a screwdriver around this faux leather, it might scuff up a bit, but that's not a problem. That will just wash off or buff out. So this is what the back of the horn button looks like. We've just got a couple of excuse my terminology, I don't know what they're called, but got a couple of these like sleeve clips which will just slide off, and then we can slide the wires out through here. And what we can do so we don't lose the buttons is just pop them back in this spare wheel, or what is soon to be my spare wheel. And then we can do the same on this side, and then we can start to remove the wheel itself. That's one button off. We can just disconnect those clips, they came off easier. Like so. So there are buttons out, still functioning, good. Now the horn wiring can just slide out. And there we have it. So we can set that aside somewhere safe so we don't lose it. Okay, so now this is the part where we need to be a bit more careful, because first of all the wheel needs to stay straight, you don't want to turn that, and second of all sometimes the wheel may be a bit stiff to pull off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the bolt sort of towards the end of the steering column, and then I will ensure that the wheel's nice and loose and pull it off, but the bolt will stop it from hitting my face as I pull it off, if you know what I mean. So I don't want to yank it trying to get it off and it flies off and hits me in the face. So I'll leave that bolt on as like an insurance policy for my nose, if you like. So first of all I need a longer extension. Now this should be tight, because if it's not then you've got an issue. So just be careful as you loosen it that you don't turn the wheel. Okay, so the bolt in the middle was really tough actually to loosen, especially since the adapter I've got here is quite long, so I was losing a lot of leverage there. But if you need to, summon another pair of hands to hold the wheel whilst you sort of use both hands maybe to loosen it. Alternatively, you can use the steering lock, give the wheel a wiggle. You should be able to lock the steering, and then you can obviously just do this with two hands whilst the steering wheel stays exactly where it is. Okay, so the actual steering wheel is quite loose, so I'm not going to need to have my insurance policy in place, so I can remove that bolt fully. Now as you pull off the wheel, be careful as you do so to not catch this wire, because this wire is connected to what's called the rotary coupler, and it's vital that that stays exactly where it is. So let's lift off the wheel. Okay, so the original wheel is off, so now we can put the new one on. Okay, so I've just removed the steering wheel, and this here with the yellow wire coming out is the rotary coupler. Essentially what's inside there is a tape that's wound around like that, and I believe that that's what enables your sort of full lock, if you like. So if you fully turn the wheel, it's what will stop the wheel from turning further, if you know what I mean. So that has to stay in the exact same position that it's in when you remove the wheel. Okay, so now we can fit the new wheel. Obviously just a reverse process of taking the wheel off. So we simply take the wheel, and as we place it on, we need to make sure of two things. One, that we're putting it on in the exact same orientation that it was when we took it off. So not like that, not like that. It needs to be exactly straight, or exactly the same angle as you took it off on. Secondly, we need to make sure that the rotary coupler doesn't turn. If it does turn a bit, then we can just put it back into the exact position that it was in. But first we want to feed that yellow wire through, which is for the airbag, feed that back through the gap in the new wheel. Okay, so the rotary coupler's turned a bit, so we can just make sure it comes exactly back to where it was. And then before we push the wheel on, we want to make sure it's lined up correctly, which is there. and that is the new wheel on. Obviously there's a few more things we need to do, starting with which I'm going to put this bolt back on. Now obviously we need to make sure it's done up really tight. The last thing we want is it coming loose while we're driving, because that would present all manner of issues. So for now I'm just going to do it up sort of semi-tightly, and then once I've made sure that all the electrics are working, I will do it up fully. Okay, so the next step is to do the horn. Okay, so the new wheel is now on, as you can see, and now I'm just feeding the horn wires through this small hole, and I'll pull them up through here and attach the horn button. Take the other button. Plug it in. Now that they are done, just want to make sure that the clips are pressed in well enough, and then you can simply push that in. And same on the other side. Push it in. So as you can see, I've now pressed in the horn buttons. Don't press them in too far because they're a bit of a pain to pull out, especially if, like me, you've got really nice materials around the horn. I've got real leather, gone for some real leather, which is nice. So now, instead of the wires being loose, they can just tuck into these rubber bits here. Same on this side, just tuck it in to make sure they're not flying about everywhere. And then the plug simply pushes back in and you hear the click. And now, since that is all okay, we can fully tighten this again, and we can plug this back in to the airbag. Okay, so I've put that on really tight. It's got to be as tight as you can possibly go. I'm not the strongest person, but just give it everything. It's got to be so tight. So that is okay. So what I can do now is I can take the new airbag, just looking for it, found it. Here it is. And clip it into place, like so. And then just position it. It should just slot in. So the final thing to do, of course, is refit the battery, starting with the red, and then the black, and then we just need to tighten them up. So they don't need to be too tight. That'll do. So that is the new wheel on. And I would like to give a big shout out to Control Customs UK, who produced this wheel for me. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I got a second-hand wheel off eBay sent straight to them, and they did the re-trimming and the reshaping, and I am super impressed with the quality. It feels so nice. The carbon fibre, the perforated leather and the normal leather, all really nice quality. I simply can't fault it so far. I've not used it yet, but from the feel of it, I would say that it's built really well. So yeah, big shout out to those guys at Control Customs. You can check them out online or on Instagram. I'll link them below. Obviously these wheels, they're completely customised, so they're not going to be cheap. and they're not going to be quick to make, so be prepared to wait a little while for it. You know, I've had this on order for a while now, and it's been really hard not to tell you guys because I've been excited about it. But it's nice to finally have it fitted. So big shout out to those guys at Control Customs. Now that just about sums up today's video. I hope it's been really useful. If it has, please leave a like down below and a comment. Tell me what you think of it, what you think of the wheel, and be sure to subscribe as well for plenty more videos to come.